This is the story of a girl who trusted the wrong family and never came home alive. In 1965, 16-year-old Sylvia Likens was left in the care of a woman who promised to protect her. Instead, that house would become her prison, and her story one of the most shocking crimes in American history. But how did an ordinary teenager end up in the clutches of such cruelty? To understand, we have to start with Sylvia's innocent beginnings. Sylvia Likens was a sweet, quiet girl from Indiana, known for her shy smile and her love for music and roller skating. She was one of 5 children in a working-class family. When her parents took temporary jobs with a traveling carnival, they needed someone to watch Sylvia and her younger sister, Jenny. They thought they had found a safe option, a local mother named Gertrude Baniszewski, who agreed to care for the girls in exchange for $20 a week. On the surface, it seemed like a normal arrangement. But behind that front door, Sylvia was walking into danger she could never escape, and that danger started with the woman in charge, Gertrude herself. Gertrude Baniszewski was a frail-looking, chain-smoking single mother of 7. Outwardly, she seemed strict but caring. But inside, she was plagued by bitterness, depression, and resentment about her failing life. The Likens sisters entered a crowded, chaotic house where discipline often meant humiliation and pain. At first, it was just harsh words. But soon, Gertrude's frustrations turned into something far darker. Fixated almost entirely on Sylvia, the abuse started small, but it wouldn't stay that way. It began with neglect. Sylvia's weekly payments from her parents were sometimes late, and Gertrude took it out on the girls. She slapped Sylvia, denied her food, and called her degrading names. Neighbors later recalled hearing raised voices inside the house, but no one stepped in. To the outside world, Sylvia still seemed like a normal teenager. Inside, though, she was already being broken down piece by piece, and soon, what started as slaps and insults would escalate into cruelty beyond imagination. By late summer, the punishments turned into sadistic rituals. Sylvia was beaten with belts, burned with cigarettes, and forced to endure humiliations no child should face. What made it worse, Gertrude's own children and neighborhood kids were invited to join in. The home became a theater of abuse, where cruelty was entertainment. Sylvia was isolated, starved, and stripped not only of her dignity but her humanity. And yet, her suffering went unnoticed by the adults outside those walls. As the weeks dragged on, Sylvia's body weakened, but Gertrude's violence only intensified. By October 1965, Sylvia was emaciated, covered in burns and bruises, and barely able to move. She was locked in the basement, left to lie on a thin, filthy mattress. Her final words, weak and heartbreaking, were, "I wish Daddy was here." On October 26, Sylvia Likens succumbed to brain swelling, internal bleeding, and malnutrition. She was just 16 years old, but her death didn't go unnoticed forever, and what came next shocked the entire nation. When police arrived at the Baniszewski home, the scene was so horrific that seasoned officers were brought to tears. Neighbors who once ignored the warning signs now watched in disbelief as details emerged. Gertrude Baniszewski, along with several of her children and neighborhood kids, were arrested. The trial exposed the torture Sylvia endured, her wounds, her starvation, her suffering. The jury was horrified. Gertrude was sentenced to life in prison, though she was later paroled after serving only 20 years. The other participants received varying sentences, but Sylvia's story didn't end in that courtroom. It changed the way America thought about child protection. Sylvia Likens' death became a turning point, sparking stronger child protection laws and awareness campaigns across the U.S. Her case stands as one of the most disturbing reminders of what happens when abuse goes unchecked. Even today, her story is taught in criminology classes and remembered by advocates fighting for children's rights. Sometimes, the real monsters don't hide in the shadows, they live right next door. If you found Sylvia's story chilling but important to hear, stick around for more true crime stories that expose the darkest sides of human nature.